What have we got here?
U25.
That's a U25. I'll show you the difference, which is a massive difference between TX profile and U profile. Right guys, welcome to the PressitU UK workshop. Now, you might remember a long time ago, probably about 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, at least, yeah.
Me and Andy did a quick YouTube live video where we did a question and answers video, anything to do with press, what people wanted to know the answers to, and we tried to answer it. And it was just a spur of the moment video, but it's been one of my most popular videos I ever did. And people still ring Andy now, like someone will ring him today or tomorrow and say, I'm interested in buying a Novopress machine. I saw it on this video, the live that we did. So what we thought we'd do today is do a comprehensive video on everything to do with press. So we're going to talk about the Novopress, everything you need to know about it, accessories, what it does, batteries it uses, how much it weighs, and then we'll move on to the Rems machine and then on to the Rothenberger machine. We'll even do the Milwaukee machine, which I don't think we've done before.
No, and we'll maybe even get the rigid machine as well squeezed in, just so you have a full understanding.
And then we'll do jaw types, jaw profiles for MLCP, copper, THU, V, M, fittings, what jaw you need for what fitting, anything that we think you want to know in this video. And we're going to try and bookmark it as well. So if you just want to know about the Rems machine and the angled jaws, we'll bookmark it so you can skip to that bit. Or you can watch the whole thing and you can learn all about press and you might learn something.
Yeah,
so we're going to start with the Novopress. Now this is the ACO 103 and it's the most popular Novopress. It's the new version of the tool with the swivel head. We'll get into that. So this is what typically you'll get in the box when you order the Novopress. So you get in obviously the tool, 2 batteries, the charger, and then it comes with a 15mm, 22 and 28mm jaw in the profile of your choice. We'll get onto that in a bit.
It also has the capability of doing up to 35, which you can add on as well.
Yeah, if you want to do 35mm, you can add that jaw on separate, but most people will opt for the 15 and 22 or the 15 to 28. So the most obvious thing is it takes the M12 battery on the Milwaukee format, and it uses an M12 charger, which is one of the main reasons why people choose this tool. If you've already got Milwaukee tools, chargers, batteries, then you know you get 2 in the box, which is enough, but you might have more. And you might even have the 6 amp hour battery in your pipe cut or in one of your other Milwaukee tools, so you could use it with that. And I think if you do use the 6 amp hour battery, it does stand up a little bit more secure. It will stand up with the what's this, 2 amp hour?
Yeah, M12 2 amp.
2 amp hour. It will stand up, but it's a bit more solid with a 6 amp hour in it. Obviously that will interchange with all of your Milwaukee 12 volt gear. So that's the battery it takes. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the tool?
Yeah, okay, so we'll move kind of from the bottom of the machine up through. So this is the newest 103. Novopress did have a previous 103, but it just didn't have the swivel head feature, which this tool has. I think they changed it mainly because customers were asking for it and they liked that feature. But so as we said, it's an M12 battery. Once you move up, a lot of people ask me what this button's for. So basically, if you're mid-press or something goes wrong in the middle of a press, you can actually hold this button here, and what it'll do is it'll stop the head moving forward and ideally potentially give you enough time to get the battery out. Or let's say you were moving onto a press and something had happened or the battery had run out, this again depresses and allows the head to move back. Moving on up the tool, we'll just show you what actually happens. Once you press the button, that installizes the PCB board inside, and that basically brings the tool to life. The batteries, or sorry, the lights on the actual switch indicate on the right hand side the actual amount of voltage that's left in the battery, and then as you see there's a blue flashing light. So this model has Bluetooth compatibility, so you can link it up to your phone. Some of the features is like how many presses, or potentially you go to a certain job and you can say on that job I done X amount of presses. So some limited features, but I think they're maybe going to improve that in the future. It's still a feature and it works well. Moving on up the tool, as I said, we've got the swivel compatibility. That's the new 103 only, and the bit that they maybe had a bit of problem with at the start was this sensor. What that sensor does is once you bring out your jaw pin and slide in your jaw and you push this in, the tool will operate. However, on the older models, let's say you're in below something and you can't see that this is actually sitting out slightly, or it moves, or it pops out itself, the tool will not operate until it's actually pushed in. This can save you a lot of money and problems, and the reason it does that, once this is out, if you press, there's a very good chance, because there's 2 tons of pressure coming up through the jaws, that this can actually crack this silver bit. The repair bill on that's in excess of £150 and won't be covered under warranty because you weren't fully in, and that's on the older models of Novopress, not the new. And just to finish off, you have a work light at the bottom, which the older tool does not have.
Okay, so we'll just put the standard battery in it, pop it on the scales. So the bare tool with the battery in,
1.8 kilograms.
1.8, and then with a jaw in, we'll just use this as the 15mm jaw.
3.3 kilograms.
3.3 kilograms. So that's with the jaw in. 1.8 without, which is pretty light. Okay. Obviously, the swivel head can help you if you've got your press tool, let's say under some floorboards, and you need it this way because you're limited and you need to move it and you can't move the machine, you can then move the head to get it in. It's also handy under boilers and stuff like that to be able to hold your machine a certain way and turn the head basically to get it in better. Now, new for this year, it's a bit of a, bit of a delicate subject.
It's a very delicate subject.
Novopress have introduced an angle jaw set. It's very new out, and because it's very new out, they're limited in supply. They're releasing them in batches of, say, 50.
Yeah, so 50, 100, and what's actually happening over the last period, just to keep everybody informed, they have been coming into some issues with raw materials and some quality issues. So I love the fact that they're holding them and not just pushing them out there, that you guys are going to have problems. So they're making sure they're absolutely perfect. So it looks good. I got a phone call to say we're getting 200 in within the next couple of weeks. So that should help some of the back orders, but anybody ordering or pre-ordering right now is going to wait between 8 and 10 weeks from today.
So that's the adapter. It does look quite wide, but it's very similar footprint to the standard jaw. Obviously it just comes out a bit further at the top. So we'll pop that in the machine, and then you get your press rings. So this is the 15mm. Open it up, pop your press ring in, and then this one has got 180 degree,
Slightly more
actually.
Yeah.
But it just allows you to get into those awkward to reach spots. Very good if you need to press close to the wall. You can see there, if we've got a pipe coming out of the wall, we're going to be able to press very close to the wall.
Also in below the floor, if you're reaching down in.
Yeah. Whereas these, you've got, if your wall's there, you've got the thickness of the jaw there before you can press. So it's a luxury item, you don't need it. Obviously Novopress, a very popular press tool, has gone all these years without the angle jaws, but in certain circumstances they can get you out the shit.
Yeah.
A lot of people chose to go with the Rems tool because of the angle jaw option. Now Novopress has introduced it, and I believe Rothenberger as well.
Yeah, they're all going to follow now. And then in the pack that we sell normally, it's the adapter, the 15 that we had a machine, and also the 22. But the actual features up to 35mm, so you can get 28 and 35, and there is room in the box. To give you a rough guide price, it's about $399 for this set, as we've just shown, and then it's roughly about 119 per head thereafter. So for the 28 and then the 35, as I say, as Peter said, sorry, it is a luxury item, but anybody that has got these say they're a complete game changer.
Cool. So just a quick one on prices. Now this will be price right now as we're filming this video. If you're watching this video in 2024, 2025, prices will change, but as of now, we're in May 2023. Just grab the box, the Novopress ACO 103, this swivel head handle, 2 batteries, obviously the tool, the charger, 15, 22 and 28 mil jaws. You can choose V profile or M profile depending on what fitting you're using.
And depending on the time again, you could probably actually include TX profile as well, and we can mix and match that for you. It might change the price slightly, but not an awful lot. So the price at the minute, do we say $12.95 plus VAT? As I say, you can potentially change these jaw profiles. Just give us a DM or give us a shout.
One thing we forgot to mention was the warranty on this tool. 2 years.
Yeah, so once you buy the tool, you have a 2-year warranty on absolutely everything. And then if you service at the end of year 1 and service at the end of year 2 with an authorised service agent, which we are, then you get an extra year for free. You don't even need to register. So that's a good feature.
Okay, so that's the Novopress. Hopefully we've answered any questions. If you've got anything else you want to know about the Novopress, obviously leave us a comment in the comment section. Either myself or Andy will pick that up and we'll answer it for you. Right, moving on to the Rems Mini 22 volts. So we're going to show you first of all what you get in the kit. Spin the box around. So we've got obviously the tool itself, 22 volt 2.5 amp hour battery. You get 2 of those. Charger, and then the 3 jaws, 15, 22 and 28 come in the box, and you choose whether you're using a V or M profile, which we'll talk about more of that in detail later. So we'll just drop this out of the way. Right, tell us all about the Rems Mini.
Yeah, okay, so we're going to start from the bottom of the tool and work our way up. The battery's a 22 volt, 2.5 amp hour. There's a battery indicator in the front of the tool to let you know how much power's in it. There's also, to get the tool installed, to get it going, it's 1 press. Wait a few seconds, you'll get a green light. And there's also a work light down at the bottom of the tool. As you move up, as I said, you have the green light. This will also can turn red to tell you if there's a problem with the machine or potentially that the press wasn't complete. And then moving on up again, we have this decompression button, the same as what you have in the Novopress. So what this actually does is, if the battery runs out during mid-press, you can pull this back, replace your battery, and then continue with the press, as it's not advised to continue under force when just slotting in a new battery. You're better to decompress and then repress. Moving on up in the tool, this is the Rems, the newest model, so they've actually changed the top head, so you have full swivel as you always had, but there was a device here for the actual jaw insert, and what happened was, in some cases when you're putting into maybe a joist or something, it was catching and it would flick up and open automatically. Now they've changed it to this here slot back, so you pull back and then that releases the jaw. Basically slot the jaw in, put in your pin, and that's you ready to go, and you've got your 360. And that's basically the features of the Rems.
So it looks very similar to the old Rems, but we've got one major difference, which is the battery.
Yeah, okay, so be careful out there, because there's a lot of companies that are still selling this version. It's 6 to 7 years old tech, and the batteries are quite expensive and they're not very good. So
that's a
14.4, normally a 2 amp hour. There's also some 3 amp hours on the market, but again, the tool actually, once you're using the tool, if it was selling like this, it becomes front heavy and falls over. I don't have the tool here, we haven't sold one in a long time, but just be careful. You'll only be saving roughly about £100. Sounds like a lot of money, but it will cost you more in the long run. So the 22 volt supports itself as well, even with the jaw in, and it's just a much better tech. There's a PCB board built into this one as well, which talks to the machine, which is a nice wee feature as well.
Right, let's get this one on the scales. So we've got
Tool
bare
only.
tool.
Yeah.
So we have 1.8 kilograms on the Novopress.
2.6.
2.6. It's a heavier machine, and then obviously we're going to add the jaw on as well.
And that takes us up to 3.6.
3.6. So with the jaw, it's only 300 grams heavy. I think it was 3.3 on the Novopress, but the actual tool itself is heavy. But when you combine the two,
yeah, there's not much in it.
Not that much in it. Okay. So obviously the thing about the Rems versus the Novopress is its pistol grip, which some people like. It's very similar to holding a cordless drill. Can you get it in as many places as the straight tool? Well, imagine trying to get that under some floorboards in between joists. Probably not. But the thing the Rems had going for it for a long time over the Novopress was the angled jaw set. Now, Andy's going to talk to you about those because we have got two versions. We've got the original version and then the 2022.
Yeah, 2023.
2023 version, which is very new, which Andy's going to talk to you about now. So, obviously we've got the adapters.
So I think the best way is to set it to like this, because a better visual. This is the probably 3 to 4 year old angled adapter. Bear in mind they were well in front of most other companies with the angled jaw. So this is just the adapter. You slot it in, and actually the head can only be pressed in two areas. So 45 degrees this way, or 45 degrees that way. Anything else inside, and this is happening as we're a service agent here, we see this. Lots of people just put it in at this and press. What that does is leaves marks on the jaws, and we have to feel them under the calibration. So be careful if you do have these already and haven't got marks on these balls. Be very, very careful that you don't do that. Make sure you only press here or here.
Always check for marks on the balls, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Very important.
Very important. So the new model, and we're going to go in steps here, because you can actually, if you have these older versions of what I would call the clamps, you don't have to throw these out. This will become invalid if you are moving and you want the new one, but this is actually usable. So this is a Z8 adapter. You put it in, if you can, and what that actually does is it gives you about 80% of the usage out of the tool. So you can actually spin a full, it gets a wee bit lumpy here, so it's fine though, there's nothing you can do wrong. This is from Rems as they okayed it, and you can literally come through nearly the full. It just doesn't come as far back. With the new clamp, you actually have the full swivel. Now earlier on with the Novopress, they actually come back. I'm not sure if there's an application where it would work, but they actually come back slightly further. One other wee thing there that I've actually missed about the tool, this tool is 65mm shorter from front to back with the jaw end than the Novopress is. So the Novopress would probably be a bit longer. I could actually probably show that later on in the video.
Yeah, we could probably line them up at the end and we'll measure them.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the angled jaws. The Rems also does something pretty cool. If you're using a threaded rod, we've got the rod cropper tong, which we can do you a real quick demo of. So we'll put that there. So basically, you open it up, pop your bar in, however you want to measure it and cut it. Let's say we're going to cut it there, and then you can be pressing a fit in 1 minute and cutting your bar the next, and it should, if I just take this, should have prepared this. We should, with the freshly cut end.
Here's one prepared earlier.
We should be able to get straight onto that. Easy enough. So gives you a nice clean cut that you can get straight onto with your clips or your nuts. So that's it, and then we also have. Oh, what else we got?
Well, actually, we messed with the angle jaws. Rems can also do TH profile, which is an MLCP profile for the angle jaw adapter, which no other company at the moment's doing. So if you have your angle jaws and you are doing MLCP, you can actually get a TH profile for MLCP in there, which again works in the full swivel. Okay.
So it's just it's a bit more versatile, a few more options with regards to obviously the cropping tong, the angled jaws, although Novopress is catching up with that. What else do they want to know about this machine? Cost, let's go through a few costs. So, cropping tong?
Roughly 159 plus VAT.
Angled jaw, adapter.
Yeah, so the newest set is the best one to talk about. The adapter with a 15 and a 22, roughly about 389, so in around the same price as what the Novopress is. And then each other tongue available after that, as in TH or 35 or 28, is about 119 per jaw.
And then the kit, like we spoke about at the start, the Rems, 2 batteries, charger, and the 3 jaws.
1295.
1295 plus that.
Yeah.
And then if they just wanted to add on the 35 jaw.
If you're doing it with the tool, it's about 99 quid. If you're purchasing the tool at the same time, if not, if it's outside the purchase, about 119 plus VAT.
Warranty on this tool?
So the tool comes with a year's warranty, which covers everything you see there, including batteries and chargers. If you service and register the tool, the registration has to be done within the first 28 days of purchase. They extend the warranty on the tool for 5 years, but it requires each year a service. However, you require that for your insurance and for the fittings manufacturers as well anyway. So that would actually be an extended warranty. It covers everything but not the batteries and chargers for a 5-year period.
Right, that's the Rems done. Now we're going to move on to
the Rothenberger.
Right guys, now we're going to look at the Rothenberger machine. Now, Andy probably can't say this because he's selling them, but in my personal experience, this will be your lower end option. So if you can't afford to go with the top end tool, which is the Novopress or the Rems, and you just want to get into press but you've not got the budget, this will be your option. In my opinion, it's not as good a machine as those two, but it does do a job.
Yeah, and the price would suggest that. There's quite a big difference in price, so you'll be talking roughly about £900 for 3 jaws, one battery and a charger, so in around that. But again, we are a service agent for Rothenberger, but as Peter said, the price does reflect the quality, there's no doubt about that. And if you can afford Rems and Novopress, it's certainly that's a good valid point.
Yeah, okay. So in the box, we've got the Rothenberger Romax Compact TT and an 18 volt 2 amp hour battery. Just pop that out quickly. So just a quick one about the battery. This is on the CAS format. So you'll notice if you use Metabo, it looks quite like a Metabo battery because they're on the same format. So if you are using Metabo gear, which when I got my Rothenberger, I use Metabo power tools, which is why I chose to go with the Rothenberger, because one less charger on the van and it uses your battery. So if your Rothenberger battery goes flat, you can stick your Metabo battery or any of the CAS batteries in. So that's a quick one about the battery.
Yeah, the pack normally comes with 1 battery, 1 charger and the 3 jaws. Jaws once again can be M or V profile or even TH profile or U profile depending on your MLCP, and the price comes with three tongs, but the machine is capable of doing up to 35mm in copper and 40mm in MLCP.
Okay, so talk us through the Romax Compact TT.
Okay, so just the same as always, we'll start off with the battery. It's an 18 volt battery format, and we kind of mentioned the CAS system there, so you can put anything like a 2 amp hour, 3, 5.2 would be a regular Metabo size, and they'll all accept it. Very, very quickly you see that there's the yellow button. This is the same as the Novopress black button and the Rems black pin. It's a decompression button, so if you go in through press and there's something happens, there's a problem, your battery runs down, whatever that may be, you press and hold. This allows the hydraulic fluid to drain from the tool into its reservoir and allow you to then either repress, change your battery or do whatever. As we move up the tool, you have a couple of lights on the front here. Again, this is some just indication if the press went well, and there's also an audible note to say that the press is okay. The same goes for if it's a per press. How it knows, it's not overly accurate, but it's more a time delay from when you press the button and moves through. So if you have a red light, it's maybe good to chat to me or to chat to maybe a Rothenberger rep. Again, we have a single button, and you press the tool and it goes through its press. You have a work light, and you have also the rotation, the 360 degree rotation. With this tool, I would be very careful with this rotation not to over rotate. So if you've had too many eggs or you've got arms like Pete, do not overturn this, because we've had people who have actually damaged the tool. You would think that shouldn't happen, but it does. Too many duck eggs. And then just your pin release. So again, I actually quite like this feature because it means the tool will still run, but it's kind of in your road, so you'll normally know to put it back. But probably the best feature is the Novopress for this because of the actual sensor. Again, as I said earlier in the video, if this isn't in properly, the tool will go and you can break this top section. Again, a very expensive repair, at least 150 or more, depending on how bad it actually breaks it.
It says e-tool on the side. What's that about?
Good question. Basically, it's an electronic tag, and they're not actually using this feature at the moment, but it's basically a tag in there that'll link to your phone through NFC, I think is the right word. There's not an awful lot that the features there, they're not using it at the moment, but we can maybe talk about that. And if anybody else knows more than me in that, it'd be great. You can put it in the comments below. But it's basically a wee sensor to tag the tool, but there's no feature like turning it off or anything like that at the moment.
Okay, so let's get on the scales. So we'll put the jaw out. So tool and battery. It's going to be a heavy one.
2.7.
2.7. So again, more than the Novopress. What was the Rems? 2.8.
Yeah, it was really heavy, but then when the jaw must be put a bit lighter, so I brought it back.
That's a light jaw as well.
We can put like a table at the bottom to show you, and 3.8. That's the heaviest tool.
That's the heaviest one out of the lot.
3.3 and 3.3.
3.3, 3.6 and 3.8. So it's the heaviest one. Obviously it's a straight tool like the Rothenberger, but it is quite a bit wider. Yeah.
It's quite short. It's a dinky tool, but yeah. They actually, Rothenberger also have the angled jaws released in V. They haven't landed yet, but they're en route. Or SV profile they call them, which is your Conex and your Vega. And then the M profile, they're having problems just as everybody. Rems are really at the forefront of the angled jaws at the moment because they've smashed it. Novopress are super close, as we spoke about before, but they're talking about 2 months for their M profile V available now. Same price range and right about the 399 mark for 1522 in the adapter, and you also can get the 28 and the 35 an additional cost, roughly about 119 per size.
And this tool with the 1 battery, charger, 3 jaws.
It's about 895 at the moment.
Plus VAT.
Plus VAT.
895 plus VAT. And what about the warranty on this one?
2 years warranty from date of purchase. Again, we're a service agent for everything that we sell, so that can be done in-house here.
Awesome.
Okay. Right.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about the Milwaukee press tool. Now you'll notice I've also got the Novopress box out. That is because we stand these side by side.
It's like a brother from another mother.
So you probably know this already. If you don't, Novopress make the Milwaukee machine. So it's actually a Novopress machine. It's got a Milwaukee case on it. Obviously they both take a Milwaukee battery and they're pretty much identical. So just give us the rundown on that.
Yeah, so I'll just show you the differences in the two tools. Basically, this is an older model. So this is Novopress's older tool, and all that's really happened that they've done since date of launch is that they've actually changed the sensor button. So they actually moved from this tool to a 103, which didn't have the swivel head, and then people weren't happy, so then they upgraded the swivel head version. So there was a tool in the middle, again identical, it just didn't have the swivel head but had the pin sensor. So very important, this tool, I'll just show you, pin out, again it's up here, so you get some it's possible to do it, but if you haven't put it in you should be spinning down. But look, tool well run, and finished. Also, there's no Bluetooth facility in this machine. Other than that, the tools are identical.
You can see, yeah, probably by looking at the power button, it's got the same neon, same grip, obviously same battery, everything's the same.
Same height, same weight.
Yeah. But obviously, we know tool companies, like when you're Xbox or PlayStation, you might be a bit of a fanboy. If you're a Milwaukee man, Milwaukee girl, and you want the Milwaukee name on there,
Of course.
then you can go from the Milwaukee. Obviously, do you sell these?
Yeah, we sell these as well. We have these in stock.
Does that come in the same kit? 2 batteries?
Exact same kit, 2 batteries, 3 jaws, and a charger. And again, same price point, $12.95. So you're just getting a slightly better, less features, but you're still getting the swivel head as well. And again, a good tool, and you still get the same warranties as well.
Same warranty on that. Okay, good to know. Right guys, what we're going to do now is we're going to look at jaws. So we're going to show you the profiles of the jaws, talk you through everything you need to know about the jaws. Alongside that, we'll show you some fittings, how they fit in the jaws and stuff like that. For that, I'm sure you're sick of looking at our faces. We're going to bring the camera in so you can see all the details of the jaws. Okay, so we've got a selection of fittings here for you and some jaws. I'm just going to talk through them. So we'll start with these 2 T's. Now, this is the most common press profile fitting you'll get in the UK. It's an M profile fitting, so it uses an M profile jaw. Now, the M is the name of the profile, but the fitting name could be something completely different. For example, this fitting's made by Pegler. So Pegler Yorkshire, you all know them. Albert's IPS is the company. And it's an M profile copper fitting, but it's branded X-Press. So the name is X-Press, but it's an M profile. Other companies that do M profile fittings you'll know of are Geberit, Sanhar, there's his M profile. Who else have we got as M profile? The one that's water and gas.
Aquagas, which
Aquagas.
is M-Press.
M-Press, they're all M profile. So the M is the profile, but the brand name is what the company chooses to call it. So X-Press,
Ma-Press, which is
Ma-Press, which is Geberit. They all have a name, but they use the M profile. So we'll show you here on this Novopress jaw. So this is an M profile jaw, M22. So for a 22mm M profile fitting, and you'll see here the profile of this jaw, our O-ring there sits right in the middle. And when that presses, it will press on the fitting and on the O-ring, and the pipe will be the other side. I'll just show you a piece of pipe going into it.
You'll also notice that in the inside of the jaw, there's a slight marking on here, which actually shows that you've pressed it with the correct jaw on this M profile fitting.
So if you ever have an issue where you've pressed something and it's leaked, and let's say you flood someone's house, God forbid, and then you ring up, in this case Pegler Yorkshire, and say, use your fittings, flooded the house, what are you going to do about it? They'll come out and they'll check. If you've pressed it with the M profile jaw, and that doesn't have to be Novopress, you might have a Rems machine or a Rothenberger, whichever machine, they will all brand this fitting to say it's been pressed by an M profile jaw. If you've used another jaw, for example a V profile jaw, it won't have the M mark, it will have a different mark on it, and they won't honour your warranty. Now, one thing to show you about this, it's got a leak before press system, and they're all different. Sometimes it's on the O-ring, sometimes it's the shape of the fitting. This one, you can see the fitting isn't quite round, it's more of a triangular shape. So when I pop my piece of copper in there, I don't know if you can see that, but we've got a little opening there, and there. If you filled the system up without pressing it for whatever reason, it would weep from one of these points, and then you can see that it's not been pressed, and you can press it while the water's still in the pipe. Now, the other thing to say about M profile is, like I said, when you press it, it presses the fitting and the O-ring. When you put your pipe in, you're hitting the O-ring there. Now, when you press it, it's going to press fitting, O-ring, it's not going to press the pipe. And that's going to lead me on now to talk about the Konex Ballinger B profile fitting. Now, just to confuse you, if you don't know, this B profile fitting doesn't use a B profile jaw, it uses a V profile That's the letter V. So a V profile jaw will I think only press the Konex Manager B press and Viega press fittings. So a V profile. Example, this Rems jaw here is a V22. So same as before, we open the jaw and the fitting goes in the middle. Now what you'll notice is we're pressing onto the fitting, the O-ring, and then the fitting again. But if I put the pipe in, we'll be pressing on the fitting, the O-ring, and the pipe, which is why some people, you'll hear them call this 3-point press. So it's slightly more secure because it's pressed in 3 points than the M profile, which is pressed in 2, the O-ring and the fitting. Now the other thing about this is that you see when I try and guide the pipe in, we're hitting the pipe, the fitting, sorry, before we get to the O-ring. By the time we get to the O-ring, the pipe's nice and straight, which means you've got less chance of damaging the O-ring. Now the leak before press on this one, because you can see we're nice and round on here, there's no gap, is actually on the O-ring itself. So if I put my finger in there and feel it, there's a little nodule there on the O-ring. So if for whatever reason we filled up and didn't press this, that little nodule is what allows it to leak before you press. So you'll get a warning that you've not pressed it, it will weep. And again, you can press this while there's water in the pipe. So, other things about press fittings that will be different are the colours of the O-ring. So this is a black O-ring, so this is for water. We've got a gas fitting here, which is labelled on the outside as gas fitting, but the O-ring is yellow, and that tells you that you're using gas. And then for solar and oil, you've got a green O-ring. So different fittings for different jobs will have a different colour O-ring.
To give you a bit of an idea, this kind of varies slightly between the brands, but the water O-ring is a temperature rating of roughly about 95 degrees. The gas O-ring is different, obviously, because there's not a liquid, it's gas. But on the solar is actually able to take up to 240 degrees momentarily and a consistent temperature of 140. So that's sometimes people have been known on a heating system coming off the back of a burner where the temperature may be very, very high to use a solar fitting. They are quite a bit more expensive just because we don't sell O-rings, or some of the brands don't.
So one thing to mention is the quality of the fittings. Because press is becoming more popular now, you're seeing a lot of copies on the market, a lot of different brands. If you stick to your trusted brands, like everyone knows Pegler makes quality gear. So if you're going to buy an M profile fitting, look at the Pegler Express or the Geberit Mapress, brands you trust, because there's a lot of stuff out there that's really thin copper. They don't go through the strict tolerances, so you know, these O-rings and the distances and everything's checked and double checked. It can't leave the factory without passing certain quality criteria, whereas the cheaper stuff you just don't know. So it's worth sticking to the brands that you know and trust. So one of the most popular questions is, can you press an M profile fitting with a V profile jaw? So I'll just show you. This is a V profile jaw, V22. This is an M profile fitting, and it will fit in, but this fitting hasn't been tested and approved to be pressed with a V profile jaw. And what you'll find is if you do press it, you'll get quite a big tag. It will crush the copper and you'll get a bit of a tag there. That's normal, depending on what fitting you're using, what jaw. You might get a little one, but if you use the wrong jaw, you will get a big one. Sometimes it will distort the press, it won't press cleanly on the pipe and it will leak. You will have no warranty, so if it leaks and floods the house, no one's gonna, you're not gonna get any backup from the manufacturer on that. So yeah, the answer is stick to the profile of the fitting with the profile of the jaw you're using. Having said that, Konex recently introduced the option of pressing their V profile fitting. So going into this V jaw, it will also press with an M profile jaw. So they will allow that to be done, and that's only Konex have approved that. But most guys will choose the jaw profile to what fitting profile they're using, because you don't want to be checking every time that you want to press what jaw you're using. If you own M, you're only going to buy M. You're not going to have any V profile fittings on the van. So just something to be aware of. Okay, so moving on to MLCP, multi-layer composite pipe. I'll just show you the pipe first in case you're not aware. So multi-layer, you can see on here, you can clearly see 3 layers, but it's actually 5 layers because you've got the outer plastic, then a layer of glue, then you've got the aluminium layer, and then another layer of glue, and then you've got the internal plastic. So it's 5 layers of pipe. So this is your MLCP. Because it's got the metal liner, you can bend it and it will stay in place. This is 26mm. The higher you get, the harder it is to manipulate, but something like 20mm or 16mm, you can bend in really nice, tight 90s like, well, just a quick one, and it will stay where you bend it. This is the pre-insulated pipe, so great for if you're doing long pipe runs under floors in loft spaces. It comes on a roll, pre-insulated. And the way we join this, so I'll just show you, these are typical fittings. Obviously we've got an elbow here, a socket. If I break this apart, I'll show you. So we've got double O-ring on the inside, and then this outer metal layer. When you feed your pipe in, so when you're using MLCP, it's very important that you prep the pipe. Now I've got a pipe prep tool here that's going to ream it, which fits inside a drill.
All our drills are available.
And that's prepared the pipe ready to take the fitting. Now, you notice when I pop this fitting onto the pipe here, we've got this little window at the end, and you can see the pipes come through the window. If you can't see your pipe through that little window, you've not pushed it in far enough. So if I pull it out a bit, you can see there, we're not on far enough, we can go a little bit further. Once that's in, it's ready to go in to be pressed. So we've got a 20mm jaw.
TH20.
This is 20mm, so we need a 20mm, and this is TH profile jaw. Now it's quite different to if I show you the M profile or V profile. It's quite a lot wider. So if I hold them side by side, you can see the difference in that jaw, and that's because when we pop this one in, the blue ring goes in to the end, that sort of groove there, because we're going to be pressing the whole of this sort of metal area. So it's going to make two presses on there, either side of those 2 O-rings, and we use this blue collar here as a guide. Pressing from this side, it would go in like that and press across the fitting. We've got an example here of one that's been pressed. So you see we've got the 2 lines either side of those O-rings. This is a 16mm fitting. So there's loads of different fittings available. For an example, this one here is this is 16mm MLCP. Obviously in the UK, most of us use 15mm copper. So this is a transition fitting, goes from 16mm MLCP to 15mm copper, and we can just press that copper elbow straight onto there. You could also put a compression fitting onto that. You could solder onto it if you wanted to with a coupling. You'd have to remove the O-rings and solder that first, because if you solder that while it's connected, you're going to melt this pipe and damage the O-rings. So that's yeah, a male transition. We've also got a female one there, so we can put our MLCP into that and then copper and directly press on that fitting. There's loads of new fittings coming out. We've got this shower bar 150 centers. You can take your MLCP straight into that. We've got a wing back elbow. They even now do tap flexes with isolators on, so your MLCP into there and you straight onto a tap flex. A couple of fittings they do for copper press. This is an MLCP, this is a normal copper press. Press isolation valves, so we've got a V profile lever valve there. We've got an M profile lever valve there, and they've even started to do those in MLCP, so that's an MLCP lever valve. So we've got a Rothenberger, we've got a 20mm MLCP pressing jaw here from Rothenberger, the TH profile 20. We've got a Rems TH26, Rothenberger TH16. So these all press TH profile MLCP fittings, which is what we're using here, this Emeti brand. But different brands, same as the copper, we've got the M profile and the V profile. Different brands choose a different profile fitting, different profile jaw. So another brand might use a U profile jaw like Uponor. That would be a U26, a U20. So
U25 actually.
Well, yeah, Uponor is 25. So U25. What have we got here?
U25.
That's a U25. I'll show you the difference. which is a massive difference between TH profile and U profile. So again, you've got to do your research, and depending on what brand you're going to be using is what profile jaw you need.
So once you get into that size, it's a weird one. A lot of the manufacturers are trying to keep you along their style and sizing of tubing. So once you get that 25 size, you'll be pretty sure it's a U profile, and it'll be the likes of main core or Uponor. And actually just recently Uponor's actually moved away from U profile, and now they ask you to use a UP. Again, that's very, very much just to keep you in that one brand and one style of pipe. If you see 26 mil, so there's only 1 mil of difference. The internal diameter of the pipe is the same. It's just the actual thickness of the pipe changes from 2.5 mil to 3 mil. So obviously that's only half, but once you multiply it by both sides of the pipe, there's only a mil of difference.
That's a really good point, actually. So this is a 26 mil pipe, and this is a 26 mil fitting. Now the general rule is, if you look on the internal, you see this internal here, it's a lot smaller than the internal of the pipe. As a general rule, take 4 mil off. So if you're using 26 mil MLCP, that's the equivalent of 22 mil copper. If you're using 20 mil MLCP, take 4 mil off, that's the equivalent of 15 mil copper. So the 16 mil stuff, by the time you put a fitting on, the internal bore reduces. You can see how thin it is there. Your 16 mil, take 4 mil off, it's really down to 12 mil. So you would only use that for heating pipes, really. You wouldn't use that for hot and cold water supplies. But it's, again, it's something, as you use it, you sort of get used to it. If it's new to you, you'll be thinking, oh, that's crazy, it's 16 mil, it's 20 mil, it's confusing. Once you start using it, it's not that confusing. Just take 4 mil off, and that's the general rule of thumb. So obviously there's a lot going on, there's a lot of different profiles, different fittings. If you've got any questions you want to know anything about, drop them in the comments and we'll try and answer them as best we can. Right, so hopefully we've covered most of the things that you wanted to know about press tools and press fittings. Obviously, if there's anything we've missed, let us know in the comments. We can always do another video, but we can try and answer your questions in the comments. Now, before we finish, Andy's just going to give you a brief rundown of what he does here at PressitU UK and why I think it's a good idea that if you are going to get into press and you want to buy fittings or a tool, you can't do too wrong by using Andy. So just tell us about what you do at Pressit.
Yeah, thanks, Pete. I think the main thing now, especially with the support that I've had from you guys over the last 4 to 5 years, the main thing is the service aspect. So more and more every day we're finding that people are buying the tools maybe slightly cheaper, and it's marginal because we are very, very keen online. What we do here is the full thing. When you're investing your hard-earned money into a press tool, you want that support. So a lot of the tools are coming with these extended warranties. So you take the Rems is a potential 5 years warranty, the Novopress 3 years, Rothenberger 2 years. All these brands with all these warranties, you need somebody like us, and that's it. What we do is we don't only fix it and service it and calibrate it, we actually then build it in if you use us with your fittings, your plans, which we're more than happy to compete like for like brands. So why I say like for like is there's a lot of copy brands out there and decent fittings in some cases, but for me they're just not cheap enough. You know, if you're going from the likes of Pegler and Konex to be dropping back to something that isn't let's say an A brand, for me you need to be saving 40%, and that's just not the case. You're only saving maybe 10 or 15. So speak to us, at least give us a chance to show you what we do, and if you're buying off us on a regular basis, we may even be able to calibrate your tool every year free of charge, and that's happening with a lot of guys under our wing, I suppose. So when you do go to decide to go and hit the pressing game, give us a shout. We can certainly help, and if it's something you have already made a decision on with somebody else, let us even point you in the right direction. We're more than willing to give you some info and try and lead you in the right path. So thanks very much for looking at the video. Thank you, Peter, for helping us out.
Just a quick one.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Let's say you're working up a ladder and you drop your press tool and you break it, or for whatever reason you press the trigger one day and it's not working. It's dead easy to get it repaired with Pressit.
Yeah.
I think I'll explain that and you tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, go for it.
So my press tool's just broke. What am I going to do? You might go into your local merchant, City Plumbing, Wolseley, whatever, and say my press tool's broke, and they'll send it off, and they'll send it off to someone else to fix it, and it might be gone 3 weeks, 4 weeks, a month. You'll be without your tool. Send it to Andy. Dead easy. Go on the website, and it will say service my tool, whatever. Drop down menu, and you click on that, and it will ask you for your details. So your name, your address, company number, what tool you're sending in, whether you're sending in your jaws, whether you're sending in a battery. You fill this list in, and then you print off a label. So PressitU UK generates a returns label for you that you print off, box your gear up, bang the label on, and you send it, and it comes here.
Yeah.
When Andy gets it, he'll look at it, see what you filled in on your form, what's wrong with it, what have you sent. Then they will quote you for, if it needs a repair, they'll quote you, let you know if you're happy for them to go ahead, they'll fix it, then it gets sent back to you. And if you're, it might be within 2 weeks.
Yeah.
If you're a Pressit customer, a loyal customer, it might even be within the week.
Yeah, so what we do is we try and prioritise the fittings customers. And one other wee thing, it's very, very important, that calibration. It's absolutely key for your own insurance, and you can even ask your own insurance provider and also the fittings manufacturers. It's very important. But yeah, you've got that bang on there. We can send you a label, and that comes direct to us. And one thing that a lot of other people that are doing what we do in the service, even though there's not an awful lot, we actually quote up the tools. So we'll not go ahead and do any major works without your consent. Normally an estimate fee, if you decide not to go with it, will be in around about £30 odd, but we do not build the tool back together because it's not safe to do so. If we've deemed it that it's not repairing, you're deeming that you don't want us to fix it, but that's kind of just a wee technical issue. But we can chat you through that if there's any problems.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy.
So, if you want to know anything else, if you want to speak to Andy, he's on Instagram at PressitUK. This is also going to go out on Andy's YouTube channel, so you might be watching on there anyway. If you've got any questions, reach out to Andy or me, and we'll try and answer them for you. Thanks for watching.
Cheers. Thanks, guys.